If you're flying in the United States right now, the officers standing near the security line may no longer just be airport security staff. In some airports, they may be immigration agents. And that is because a funding fight in the Washington has now spilled directly into one of the most routine parts of public life in America, getting through the airport. So what exactly is happening and why are ICE agents are being sent into airports? What can they actually do there, and why are critics saying that this could change how airport security feels long after the shutdown ends? The immediate trigger is a partial shutdown inside the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS. Since 14 February 2026, Congress has failed to pass a full-year DHS funding bill. This has left major parts of the department underfunded, including the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, which is responsible for airport screening. TSA officers are considered essential workers, so they still have to report to work, but many have been working for weeks without pay or with only partial pay, even though the Congress has promised pay once the shutdown ends. That has created a serious staffing problem. According to the information released so far, more than 300 TSA employees have already quit, with some estimates putting that figure closer to 300 to 400 officers. At the same time, unscheduled absence or call-outs have surged to 2 to 3 times the normal rate. In some airports, call-out rates have reached around 30 to 38%, and some ships have seen 10 to 40% of staff absent. The result is what travelers are now seeing on the ground. Closed checkpoints, consolidated lanes, overstretched staff, and security lines that can run for 2, 3, or even 4 hours. At major hubs, airlines and airports have started advising passengers to arrive 3 to 4 hours early instead of the usual 90 minutes to 2 hours. That is the context in which the Trump administration has begun deploying immigration and customs enforcement agents, or ICE agents, to airports. According to the Reuters, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed that the hundreds of ICE agents and Homeland Security investigation officers are being sent to assist the airports with serious staffing problems. Reuters reported deployments to more than a dozen airports, including John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York and Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. CNN also reported that at least 4 ICE agents are seen at New York Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. The broader reported list of 14 major airports includes Chicago O'Hare, Cleveland Hopkins, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta, Houston Hobby, Houston George Bush Intercontinental, JFK LaGuardia, Louis Armstrong New Orleans, Louis Minas Marin in San Juan, New York Liberty, Philadelphia International, Phoenix Sky Harbor, Pittsburgh International, and Southwest Florida International in the Fort Myers. These airports are selected because they are major hubs where TSA call-out rates have been especially high. Now, the administration says that this is a practical temporary fix. The logic is pretty simple. ICE is fully funded, ITSA is not. That is because the broader DHS budget is partially frozen, but immigration enforcement funding has been protected under a separate package, meaning the ICE officers are still being paid while many TSA officers are not. So the government is using already paid federal agents as a kind of surge force to support the overwhelmed airports. Trump's border security chief, Tom Homan, says that ICE agents will not replace TSA screeners. Instead, he says that they will take over non-specialist tasks so trained TSA officers can return the scanning machines and screening lanes. That means the ICE agents may be used to guard exits, manage queues, direct passenger flows, monitor crowded checkpoint areas, and provide a general security presence. Some officials have also suggested that they might help with limited front-end tasks such as checking boarding passes or IDs at the entrance or to screening lines where allowed, but there are also clear limits to what ICE agents can do. They are not trained as TSA screeners, so they cannot legally or safely operate X-ray machines, analyze scan bags, carry out pat-downs, conduct physical bag searches, or make final threat assessment decisions. So in practice, they are not doing airport screening. They are being used to support the flow around it. That is where the legal and political concerns begin. Because ICE is not just another federal workforce. It is the US Immigration Enforcement Agency. Its officers have broad authority to arrest non-citizens they believe are in the country unlawfully. That has led to fears that placing ICE agents in domestic airports could blur the line between aviation security and immigration enforcement. Critics say that for many travelers, especially immigrants, non-citizens, and mixed-status families, the sight of ICE near checkpoints creates a very different atmosphere from the usual airport security experience. Even if the agents are there only to direct queues, their presence can still feel like heightened surveillance. There is also concern that the exact boundaries of their role are still not entirely clear. Some officials have openly admitted the deployment is still being worked out in the real time. That uncertainty has fueled criticism from civil rights groups, labor representatives, and lawmakers. Home Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries called the move dangerous, saying the last thing Americans need is untrained ICE agents deployed at airports all across the country. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski also criticized the plan, calling it a bad idea and arguing that the real solution is to fix the DHS funding program and pay TSA officers. And Everett Kelly, president of the Government Federation of Government Employees, which represents more than 50,000 TSA employees, said the workers who have shown up every day without pay deserve to be paid, not replaced by untrained armed agents. That point matters because from the union's perspective, the ICE deployment does not solve the actual problem. It just redistributes the pressure inside an already strained system. And for the travelers, the impact is already very visible. At Atlanta, the more than third of TSA staff reportedly been absent for some days, leading to 3 to 4 hour waits. At Houston's airport, especially IAH and HOU standard security lines have stretched to 3 hours or more, with warnings that wait could top 4 hours during peak periods. At New Orleans, passengers have been told to arrive at least 3 hours early. Across the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia corridor, JFK, LaGuardia, New York and Philadelphia, elevated call-out rates have been matched by visibly long queues. As Phoenix Sky Harbor, 2 of the 4 checkpoints in Terminal 4 were reportedly closed because of the staffing shortages, and the airport confirmed that ICE agents were helping manage passenger flow. Other airports like Chicago, O'Hare, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Orlando have also been flagged as high delay airports during the shutdowns, though not always at the same level as Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans, or New York. Passengers are also facing uncertainty around TSA pre-check. DHS had initially threatened to suspend it, then reversed the course. It is now operating on a checkpoint by basis, which means faster screening cannot always be counted on. So even passengers who paid for expedited screening may find that those lanes are reduced, unavailable, or inconsistent depending on the airport and time of the day. And that brings us to the bigger question. Is this really temporary? Officially, yes, the administration is presenting ICE at airport as an emergency measure that is tied down to the shutdown. If Congress restores DHS funding, the TSA officers are paid again and the staffing begins to recover, the official justification for bringing ICE into airports should disappear. But even if that happens, they may not simply vanish. For one thing, the shutdown has already damaged TSA staffing and morale. Hundreds have already quit. The unions warn that the recruitment and retention may remain weak even after funding returns. That means the staffing shortages could continue for some time. Second, this could create a new template inside DHS using non-TSA federal personnel, including ICE, for checkpoint support, crowd control, and surge staffing during labor shortages or peak travel periods. And third, the public perception may already have shifted. Even if ICE is eventually pulled back, the image of immigration agents stationed around the domestic airport security zones have already changed. How many travelers experience these spaces? For some, it may not feel like extra order. For others, especially people already wary of immigration enforcement, it may feel like something more intrusive and politically charged. And that is why this story matters beyond airport queues. It is about a shutdown that has exposed a strange imbalance inside the same department. TSA officers screening passengers are going unpaid while immigration agents remain funded and are now being redeployed into civilian travel spaces. If the funding standoff continues, lines will probably get worse. TSA staffing may deteriorate further and what is now being sold as a temporary patch could begin to look like a new normal. But pushback is already building from lawmaker unions and some airport authorities who say the answer is not to normalize ICE in airport security zones, but to restore TSA funding, pay screeners properly, and stop a political fight in Washington from reshaping everyday air travel in the America. For more such stories, subscribe to Dawn News English.